head throbbed. The plastic chair dug into my back. I blinked at the monitor. Rain streaked the glass. A red button glowed. My hand hovered over it. Another car approached the gate. It was a black sedan. I pressed the green button. The barrier arm lifted. The sedan rolled through. My eyes scanned the street. The air smelled of wet asphalt. A chill seeped into the booth. Then I saw it. A blue van. It idled down the road. My stomach tightened. A cold dread spread. The instruction echoed. Let everyone in, except the blue van. My breath hitched. My fingers gripped the console. The van moved slowly. It crept closer. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was the rule, the only rule. I watched its dark windows. No one was inside, but I knew it was there, waiting. The gate felt like a thin shield. My gaze locked onto the van. It stopped just out of sight. The silence grew heavy. I was alone with this. The world outside seemed normal, but I knew better. My gaze drifted from the empty road. The rain still tapped the glass. I picked up the logbook. Its pages felt damp and cool. I clicked my pen. The ink was running low. Each entry needed a timestamp. I wrote down the last car. Black sedan, gate 3. My hand moved slowly. The numbers blurred slightly. I checked the monitor again. The street remained empty. A low hum came from the console. It vibrated against my palm. I traced the worn edges of the buttons. The green one felt smooth. The red one was rougher. My eyes scanned the perimeter cameras. Nothing moved in the distant fog. I reached for my thermos. The coffee was lukewarm. A bitter taste filled my mouth. The air in the booth grew colder. I pulled my jacket tighter. The silence outside pressed in. It felt too quiet now. My breath fogged the glass. I wiped it with my sleeve. The empty road stretched out. It waited for something. I waited too. My fingers drummed a slow rhythm. The gate stood open. It seemed to invite the night. My fingers stopped drumming. A flicker caught my eye. It was on the main monitor. The screen showed gate 3. The gate was open moments ago. Now, a dark bar stretched across. It looked like the barrier arm. It was down. My breath hitched. I knew it was still up. I had not pressed the red button. No car had passed. I leaned closer to the screen. My reflection stared back. The image on the monitor did not change. The barrier arm remained lowered. It cast a long shadow. The shadow stretched across the wet asphalt. A cold knot formed in my stomach. I looked out the window. The actual gate was still open. It stood wide. The monitor showed a lie. My hand moved to the console. My fingers hovered over the green button. The hum of the console felt louder. The air grew heavy. I felt a chill, deeper than the rain. Something was wrong with the image. It was a silent warning. I pressed the green button again. My finger felt the worn plastic. The console hummed faintly. I watched the main monitor. The barrier arm stayed down on screen. It did not move. My brow furrowed. This was not a simple error. I checked the system log. The screen showed no faults. All systems reported green. I tapped the monitor frame. The image remained frozen. The false barrier mocked me. I reached for the diagnostic panel. My fingers fumbled with the cover. I pulled up the feed status. It showed a live connection. No signal loss, no data corruption. Everything appeared normal, except the image itself. My tools offered no answers. My logic found no path. The lie was absolute. It was not a malfunction. It was something else entirely. My breath grew shallow. The booth felt smaller around me. I was losing my grip on what was real. The world was shifting. I felt a tremor deep inside. This was beyond my job. It was beyond understanding. I slammed my palm on the console. The screen flickered once, then it went dark. A cold draft swept through the booth. My breath fogged in the air. The familiar hum of the server died. Silence pressed in. I fumbled for the emergency light switch. My fingers found only cold, rough metal. The booth walls felt different. They were not smooth plastic anymore. I pushed myself up from the seat. My chair was gone. I stood on a damp concrete floor. The air smelled of wet earth and mildew. A faint, pulsing red light glowed ahead. It was not the gate booth. The space stretched out before me. It was a vast, cavernous room. My heart pounded against my ribs. The blue van was still out there somewhere, but I was no longer at the gate. I took a hesitant, stumbling step. My boot echoed loudly in the dark. The cold seeped into my very bones. This was a new kind of trap. The rules had changed completely. I was utterly lost in this place. The van was forgotten for a moment. My fear shifted to this immediate unknown. It was a deeper, colder dread. The ground felt uneven beneath my feet. I reached out, touching a damp stone wall. This was not a system malfunction. This was a complete relocation. I shuffled forward. The red light pulsed. It cast long shadows. The air grew colder. A metallic tang filled my nose. My boots crunched gravel. The cavern opened wider. The light grew brighter. Then I saw the source. It was a massive, rusted machine. It stretched into the dark. Its gears were frozen solid. Thick cables snaked from its base. They vanished into the stone. This was not a simple room. This was an ancient engine. It hummed with a low thrum. The sound vibrated my chest. I touched its cold metal. A symbol was etched deeply. It was a familiar, swirling mark. I had seen it on the gate console. The gate was just a small part. This machine controlled everything. My breath caught. The blue van felt distant now. This was the true barrier. It was far older than any road. I was inside its workings. The silence returned, vast. I felt the cold metal. The etched symbol pulsed faintly. A low thrum vibrated my bones. The cavern walls began to shimmer. Dust rained from the ceiling. Then the humming changed. It grew into a grinding roar. The frozen gears shuddered. They began to turn slowly. A deep crack split the stone floor. It ran towards the machine's base. A dark void opened within it. A familiar blue light pulsed. It came from the void's depths. My breath hitched in my throat. This was not just a machine. It was a doorway. I saw the shape emerge. It was the blue van. It rose from the crack. Its headlights were dark eyes. It moved without sound. It was coming for me. I stumbled back quickly. My foot caught on a cable. I fell hard onto the gravel. The van kept rising. It filled the cavern. I scrambled to my feet. My heart pounded wildly. I had to get away. I turned and ran. My boots slipped on the loose stone. The roar echoed behind me. The van was closer now. Its presence felt crushing. I knew it would follow. The ancient engine had opened. My lungs burned. I leaned against a rough rock wall. My legs trembled violently. Gravel dug into my palms. I must have fallen again. A metallic taste filled my mouth. My heart still hammered. The cavern air felt thin and cold. I could still hear the roar. It echoed in my head. The van was gone from sight, but its presence lingered. My body ached all over. Every muscle screamed. I slid down to the cold floor. My breath came in ragged gasps. My hands shook uncontrollably. I closed my eyes tightly. The blue light pulsed behind them. I was not safe. Not truly. The silence now felt worse. It was a waiting silence. I pushed myself up slowly. My knees protested loudly. I had to keep moving. But where could I go? The ground still vibrated faintly. It was a deep, constant hum. The van had changed everything. I was alone with this knowledge. My legs gave out. I stumbled into the booth. The door hung crooked. Rain had soaked the console. The air smelled of ozone. My old plastic chair lay overturned. I righted it slowly. It felt colder now. The monitor screen was shattered. Cracks spiderwebbed across it. The red button was dark. No cars waited outside. The gate arm was twisted metal. It lay broken on the asphalt. The street looked empty, but the ground still hummed. A low, deep vibration. It came from everywhere. I touched the console. My fingers brushed something. A fine blue dust coated the buttons. It shimmered faintly. This was not here before. The world was quiet. Too quiet. My heart beat a slow rhythm. I was back where I started. But nothing was the same. The blue van was gone. Its mark remained. I was still alone with this. The silence pressed in. My hand still felt the dust. It clung to my fingertips. The blue shimmered faintly. I wiped it on my pants. It left a faint smear. The booth was a wreck. Rain dripped from the ceiling. The humming grew louder. It vibrated through my feet. I looked at the broken gate. Twisted metal pointed skyward. This was my post. This was my job. I used to press buttons. Now, there was only ruin. The blue dust was everywhere. It coated the shattered screen. No one would see this. No one would believe me. They would see a broken gate. They would see a storm. They would never see the blue. They would never hear the hum. My job was simple once. Now it was a secret. A silent blue secret. I was the only witness. The gate was gone. But the world was still here. And I was still watching. My shift would never end. The blue van had changed everything. It was gone, but its shadow remained. I would always see it now. Every car, every gate. The world was no longer just asphalt and rain. It was a lie. And I was the only one who knew. The barrier in my mind was permanent.